This morning, Chris Kyle's killer sitting in a Texas county jail awaiting transfer to a state penitentiary. Eddie Ray Routh was sentenced to life in prison Tuesday for the 2013 murders of Chris Kyle and his friend Chad Littlefield. After the verdict, Kyle's family and friends embraced. They had waited 2 years for justice. Among those in the courtroom was Jeff Kyle, Chris's younger brother. Jeff joins us now in Studio 57. Good morning.
Good morning.
Like everybody around the country, I want to give you the deepest sympathies the loss of your brother.
Thank you very much.
And take me to the moment in the courtroom when you knew the man who had killed your brother was going to prison.
You know, we waited a long time to hear it, and like we had talked about earlier, it's up to that point, we always had that feeling, that sense that it was going to go our way. But you never know, you know, it could go either way, and you can't spend the entire time watching the trial and trying to read them, and they're not going to show you what they're not going to show their hand. And so we felt good up until the trial stepped off, or the jury stepped out to deliberate. We had no idea at that point where it was going to go, and that's when the thoughts start racing, and you just pray that it's going to go right.
The defense seemed to have painted a compelling case for insanity. Did you think that he was insane?
I never did.
Never did?
Never did.
Even your own brother, Jeff, said this dude is straight up nuts.
You know, I use that term all the time. Chris used to use that term all the time. If he would have thought that he was nuts, if he even had a little bit of an idea that he was nuts, it wouldn't have turned out the way it did.
Wouldn't have taken him to a shooting range.
And he never would have turned his back on him.
As many people know, there's a movie called American Sniper now that is about your brother and also about the toll of war on families. Does that capture your brother? Is that the man that you knew?
For the most part, yes. Bradley did a phenomenal job in getting Chris and getting his heart and putting it out there.
What was it like for you looking at Eddie Ray Routh in the trial, sitting there watching him every single day?
That was one of the hardest things I've ever done. Just seeing him in there, just no remorse. Yeah, that was very difficult. There was a lot of times that I wanted to get up, but you know, he's not worth my time.
I think one of the hardest things too about this story is that Chris survived those really tough deployments and then came home to help veterans who were suffering from PTSD. Talk about your brother's, you know, deep desire to really help other men and women who served.
You know, it's just like the way he was in country. You know, he wanted to make sure, or wanted everybody to have the chance to come home. And then once they came home, then he didn't want it to stop there. So he was helping on and off the field. And whenever most military members are in, you know, we're held to that higher standard of fitness. And of course, that helps our mental being as well. So getting back into the gym is huge for veterans. Yeah. And Chris saw that and started the foundation, Guardian for Heroes, and he got back into the gym, and that's where it spurred from.
Obviously, this is a family, and his wife suffers deeply from this loss. How is she since the verdict?
She's very relieved of the verdict. We haven't talked a lot since then. She sent me a text yesterday, you know, saying, you know, amen, we got a verdict.
When you think back about him in his life, what is it that and all the attention that has been drawn, A, because of the life, B, because of the funeral, C, because of the all the attention from the movie. Any of this not on target? Any of this not true? Any of this that you wish you could correct?
As far as being untrue, I don't think there's anything out there that's untrue. The hype, he hated the hype.
Hated it.
Hated it. And, you know, the trial was dubbed the American Sniper trial. That, you know, I know Chris would be upset about that, and to us, it's not the American Sniper trial. It's a trial about Chris Kyle and Chad Littlefield, and I think too many people forget about Chad and forget who he was. You know, he wasn't a veteran, but he had the heart and soul of a warrior and was doing everything he could to help out as many veterans as possible.
If you were going to write the epitaph for your brother, what would you say?
I don't think we have enough time, but he was larger than life. He was a great father. He was a great brother, and a great son to my parents. My kids loved him. They still talk about him to this day. But he cared about everybody, gave everybody a chance, and gave his life doing what he loved.
Yeah, what do you miss most about him?
Just his, I guess, his smart-ass little self, I guess.
You guys did fight a little bit when you were younger.
He was the big brother.
As all brothers do.
He was the big brother.
As all brothers do. Yeah.
But he was an outstanding man.
Thank you so much, Jeff, for joining us.
Thank y'all very much.
Great to have
Jeff
you.
Kyle.